Alright, so I said I'd be using the Unihertz Titan for a week, and it's been a week. And I'm no longer using the Unihertz Titan, as you can see by the no SIM card status right up there. I put my SIM back in the Moto Z4 that I was using before. So this is why, my review of it, and explaining whether or not it's worth it. It's going to be very complicated, obviously, because of the fact that this is a Kickstarter project. Not only that, it's a Kickstarter project that was actually successful. Usually these things are scams, usually. I've only backed like 2 Kickstarter projects, both delivered, at least. So my experience is much better than yours might be if you've backed anything on Kickstarter. Anyway, we're going to talk about the hardware first. And in terms of build quality, the hardware is solid. I just touched the camera. Ugh. But as you can see, there's minimal oils, minimal residue from just using it. This has a similar feel to, I want to say, a ThinkPad. If you've ever owned a ThinkPad, it sort of feels like that sort of rubber. It's tough rubber. It'll leave stains, but you can wipe it off with a microfiber cloth. It's easy to do, really. On the back, you'll have your actual speaker for sound. This is your loudspeaker for calls. A 16 megapixel rear-facing camera with an LED flash, a bunch of screws, a 3.5mm headset jack on the top. On the bottom is a USB Type-C connector, and on the front we have this 3.68, I think, inch display with a resolution of 1400 by 1438, I believe is the resolution, more or less, give or take. 8 megapixel front-facing camera. There is an LED flash right there. Yeah, you can see it right there, that little dot. Proximity sensor, earpiece, and obviously the keyboard. On the left-hand side, we have the quote-unquote, and I do use quotes around this, it's the reprogrammable key, or whatever they call it, app shortcut key or something. The SIM card tray. On the right-hand side, we have the power button and volume rocker. The buttons, god damn it, the buttons, they feel solid. There's no play in them. They don't stick. They feel solid. I'd say that this button is a bit firmer to press than this one. I'd rather have that reversed, where the power button is a bit firmer to press, but that's just me. On the front, we have your QWERTY keyboard, your caps lock, multitask, your home button / fingerprint sensor, your back button, and your alt button. So you have these legends here. That's what it does, basically. These 2 buttons, as I complained before, should have been switched. It should have been back, home, multitask. But it is what it is. The phone's already shipped. It pisses me off, but there's not much I can do here. So, in terms of hardware, how it feels in the hand, how it feels day to day, this is a very, very, very sturdy phone. I could proudly say that this phone, well, it hasn't taken the abuse that Unihertz claims it can. It can withstand a lot of abuse. I've dropped this phone a few times, once on carpet and a few times on tile, and there is not a single nick or scratch on it. It's impressive. So build quality wise, it's solid. There's no air gaps, there's no, loose screws, there's no rattly bits, there's nothing. It's all solid. Honestly, the best compliment I can give this phone is that it feels mass-produced. It feels like it was mass-produced by a multi-billion-dollar company, honestly. It feels something like Samsung would make. Well, Samsung wouldn't make something like this, obviously, but it feels like it was produced with their sort of engineering and, tight seals and all. So that's really good. In the hands, I don't think this is going to fall apart on you in terms of how it's constructed together. It has this utilitarian look that I personally like. Prefer it over these glass sandwiches that we see nowadays. That it's all, oh, look at me, I am so fancy with my glass sandwich. Oh, look at me, I have a gold iPhone. Oh, look at me, I have a gray iPhone. Or look at me, I have a multicolored Samsung Galaxy Note 10 without a headphone jack. You know what I mean. All these prissy bitches that just buy like what, $1,000 phone that if you drop it, it's going to crack and has multicolors. I guess I don't know. But this phone is not like this. It's utilitarian. It is designed to do work first, then looks after. I'd say the looks, Like I said, it looks utilitarian. It's not going to win any awards by MKBHD or Mr. Mobile, that's for sure. But for the people that need a rugged phone and don't want to buy a Cat S60, I think this is a good phone in terms of build design. However, build quality and construction is only one half of a phone. In order to make a phone, you also need software on it. And that's kind of where this thing starts to fall at the seams. Software. Alright, let's start. So it's running a build of Android 9. It's not just any build of Android 9. It's running a build of Android 9 that is, I want to say, 5 months out of date. If we go into security, right there, as you can see, it is the August 5th security patch. As of the review, it is the 8th. So September, October, November, December, January is 5 months out of date. And if I check for update, no update. Same thing if I go for a, let's see, if we go to, nope. Say we go to system, then we go to advanced, about phone, and then we go to wireless update. And check for updates, and your device is currently up to date. That's not a good thing for two reasons. Reason one is that this phone, again, as I said before, is 5 months out of date on security. Now, don't get it twisted. I did not buy this phone for security. If I wanted that, I would have stuck with my BlackBerry Key 2, which is what I switched from to this before switching to the Moto Z4 that I'm using right now. I bought this for a different reason, and that was hopefully maybe developers on XDA would make ROMs for this. That was kind of what I was banking on, but considering this phone is small volume, might not have been my best bet, honestly. Might have gotten the FX Tech Pro instead. Anyway, this phone doesn't even have Magisk as of the recording, so there's no root options yet, so you're stuck on the stock Android skin that it has, and I'm not a fan of it. Home button, there you go. It's running a custom launcher, but I'm running Nova Launcher, as you can see. I'm running Nova Launcher on it. The custom skin is very, very sticky in that if you press the home button a few times, it'll actually revert to it. On top of that, this phone is clearly a Chinese first device because of how it acts. This phone has some aggressive, and I do mean aggressive, battery management. If I go into the settings, actually here, let me go into settings again. If we go into, it's not Dura Speed, Intelligent Assistant, and then App Blocker. It's suggested actually that you turn this off if you're going to use the BlackBerry keyboard or Swift key for predictive text, because this phone kills the keyboard like that. So this is sort of it's RAM. I suppose you can call it RAM management. It's aggressive as hell. So I suggest as soon as you set it up, you turn it off, like immediately. Otherwise, you're gonna have a hard time. This is also actually the reason why I had issues with Nova Launcher's Google swipe right for the Google feed thing. The app locker was killing it every time. So thankfully it stopped after I turned it off, but that's still not an excuse for such aggressive battery management. I don't understand. It has a 6,000 milliamp hour battery and it still does aggressive battery management? Like, really? Do you not have faith in it? Since we're in the Intelligent Assistant, I suppose this is one part of the software we can start bitching about. There's not much I can bitch about in like this sort of menu area. However, once we get to the shortcut settings, that's where I can start my bitching. As you can see, we have three options. We have short, long, and double press. It's usually how most of these things go. Short press, if we go to short press, if we have a short press, these are all my options. Issues of live recording. We have start recording, open underwater camera, screenshot, screen recording, phone call recording, or swipe status bar. Alright, fair enough. Or you can open an app of your choosing. All these glorious apps that I have installed. Alright, fair enough. If I want to double press it, as you can see, I have start recording, underwater camera, screenshot, screen recording, phone call recording, and swipe status bar, along with the apps. And if I hold long press, I get open flashlight, start recording, underwater camera, screenshot, screen recording, phone call recording. You get the gist of it. It's just a pre-selected number of things that you can do. There's nothing, you can't set anything up yourself like you could with the BlackBerry Key 2 or, well, I can't say the Bixby button because the Bixby button's kind of useless anyway. But there's no option to set what you want, and even the apps are limited. Some of my apps don't show up here. So it's very limited in what you can actually program this to. I was assuming since you had, the Unihertz Atom, you could reprogram it to many things that you'd be able to do the same here. Looks like that is not the case. So I have it disabled for the short and long, for the short and double press. But for the long press, I just have the flashlight, as that's what I have it on for most of my phones at least. I really want to see more options in there and let me remap it to anything, like any Android, thing, not just, record or screenshot. Another thing is the scroll assistant. This actually enables the capacitive keyboard. Yes, there's a capacitive keyboard here, but it's disabled in the software. I sort of assume that this is so that TCL doesn't go after, well, not TCL, but, well, actually, yeah, TCL and Research in Motion doesn't go after Unihertz for this because, it's kind of infringing on some copyright that Research in Motion has. But you can turn it on. However, it's not that good, and it only works on certain apps. It doesn't work on Instagram. It doesn't work on Netflix. It works on Firefox and Google Chrome. It doesn't work in YouTube for some reason. At least mine didn't. No, actually, no. This one did work on YouTube, but it doesn't work in that many apps anyway, so it's a waste of time for me, so I just turned it off. Another thing you might notice is that I have the night mode on, and the screen is yellow. That's what night mode does. Sort of takes away the blue from a screen. And every time I change a screen, it goes really dark yellow. That is just a software oversight, I'd assume. Hopefully it's not a hardware defect, because if it is, then we're going to have a problem. So that's the intelligent part of the software, I suppose. The intelligent assistant, as Unihertz wants to call it. So the next part of the software would be just how it works with Firefox and how web pages would look. And this is how a web page would look. It's just, Android scales correctly, so you're not going to have that many issues when watching, videos or browsing the web like so. Just is squared. As I said, this is a 1-to-1 screen, so just everything's slightly wider. Not as tall, but slightly wider. It's not that many issues with it. However, there are issues with the keyboard in some browsers. I tried this with Opera, did it with that, and it did it with Firefox. I don't know if it did it with Chrome because I don't use Chrome. But when you're typing, let's say you're typing something, right, and then you want to delete it because you made a mistake, if you hold the backspace, it actually starts creating a mass line of whatever you deleted until you press the X or refresh the page and then delete it. That's another software oversight, and that has to do with the keyboard. And we're going to get to the keyboard in a second, because a keyboard that is not as fast as I can type is a useless keyboard to me. And that is the biggest issue with this phone. It's the keyboard. It's its big selling point, but it's also its biggest issue. But before we get there, let's talk about the keyboard software. And to do that, we must return to settings. Doing this with the viewfinder is fucking fun. What do you think that is? That's Kika Keyboard. That is the stock software that's preloaded on this phone. It's Kika Keyboard. You might be saying, well, why is that an issue? I don't think it needs to be said why a Chinese keyboard that you're going to type information into, possibly very important information, with the issues that China has had, and with the fact that keyboard was kicked out of the Play Store due to some violation of AdSense, is bad. This phone ships with Kika Keyboard as its stock software keyboard. Now that technically means you can load up anything you want, and I loaded up the BlackBerry keyboard and SwiftKey. However, that introduces a new issue, and that is twofold. Firstly, in the secondary shortcuts or the secondary symbols, I can't get it to work with either the BlackBerry keyboard or SwiftKey. I can't get secondary symbols to work, and in certain situations, using Alt and Caps Lock at the same time doesn't work with SwiftKey. So if you're, let's say, you use Alt parentheses or something like that, and you accidentally hold it, it won't register, let's say, a letter. So if you, instead of a fuck up, it just won't register a keystroke at all. So let's say you were going to do Alt parentheses and you're going to spell they. Well, if you have this and activate this and then press T, nothing will happen. Whether or not that's a good thing or a bad thing, that's up to you, I guess. One thing that isn't present, however, in any software except the BlackBerry keyboard is any sort of notification that you have activated the Alt or Caps Lock key. And let me show you what I mean. Alright, so there's my predictive text for SwiftKey. Yes, I cuss a lot. But let's say we want to start with a capital letter. So I press the Caps Lock key. Okay. Is it on? How am I supposed to know? Oh, I have to press a key. Okay, so it's activated. Now it's deactivated. So how do I know that I double pressed it correctly? Well, now I have to type a word and see if it does it, and it didn't do it, as you can see. Same with Alt. No Alt notification either, and this is for both Kika Keyboard and SwiftKey. So it's not just, one keyboard. However, if I switch to the BlackBerry keyboard, it gives me my options as usual, and it also gives me the notifications for when I have Caps Lock on, when I have Caps Lock fully enabled, or when I have Alt, as you can see. The BlackBerry keyboard, I think, would be the best thing to have here. However, it also has issues. Firstly, I can't figure out for the life of me how to have secondary symbols show up on screen. That's just something that escapes me. If you can help me in the comments, by all means, please do. However, this is actually an issue when going on to certain applications such as Discord, and I heard WhatsApp has this issue as well. So let me clarify here. I need to open a conversation. There we go. All right. So depending on the keyboard that you're using, let's say I want to type, "This is a very good phone." Oh, you might have caught that. We'll get to that in a moment. Trust me. Very good phone. And then you want to leave, let's say, an emote in Discord. So you do Alt and then Q. And let's say I have blobs. Let's just go with blob dance. Alright, the emote works. Cool. However, if you want to start your sentence with the emote, or just spam emotes in general, and you want to press Alt and then, colon, nothing happened. Nothing happened. If you do it again, it'll show up. However, if you start typing the emote, it doesn't show up. And it's tedious. And not only that, but let's say you're typing a wall of text. Let's say you're ranting at someone. "This is dumb." Let's do what every millennial does. "This is dumb. I hate my life. I wanna die." And then you press enter. As you can see, it created another line. That's what the BlackBerry keyboard does. However, with SwiftKey, it doesn't do that. So let's switch to SwiftKey. Let's type in a similar sentence. "This sucks. My life sucks. I misspelled that. I wanna die." You caught that as well? on a die, and then press enter, it sends. It sends it directly. I would assume that this is based on the software of each keyboard, but I thought I'd let you know that some keyboards might not work like you want them to compared to others, which is why I recommend you use the BlackBerry Keyboard APK. If you don't know where to get it, just type in Cobalt BlackBerry Manager for Android in Google. You'll get the result you want. You'll get all of the BlackBerry apps like that. Just switch to BlackBerry's keyboard again. BlackBerry keyboard is a better keyboard application than Kika. Yeah, it's spelled kick. I kind of expected that. Kika keyboard ever will be. Alright, so enough fooling around with Discord. Alright, so the biggest issue with the phone, and you noticed it while I was typing the text or the test messages in Discord, is that the software, whether it's Android or whatever, I'm assuming it's Android, isn't picking up the keys while I'm typing fast. It'll miss certain keystrokes. So for example, if I were to type need really fast, it'll miss it. And we can actually try that right now. Need. It missed it. It missed it again. That's the biggest issue. And it's not just me reporting it, it's several others. Now, I get that not everyone is a fast typer on mobile. I get that. I understand. However, there exists a lot of us that just as on, a desktop keyboard, we type fast on a mobile keyboard as well. And we expect that when we're typing really fast, that each key will register, and that is an issue that this phone has, is that it doesn't register every keystroke while you're typing. That is a big issue, especially if you're typing really fast. Sometimes auto-predictive text will catch it, but sometimes the word might not show up for one reason or another. You want to type need, but instead you get Ned, and then it autocorrects to Ned in capital because it thinks it's a name. That sort of thing. It's a gigantic issue, and I cannot stress this enough, because it makes typing on this, it slows you down. It slows down productivity, and it slows you down in general, because you have to constantly check that you typed what you want to say, and it's spelled correctly, and that autocorrect didn't correct it to something else, and it turns what should be a quick and easy process to just type and forget about it into a process of making sure that you type everything correctly and that nothing is misspelled. It basically slows you down to the point that you have to type each key like this, and that's unacceptable. I don't type like that. I type like this, and either auto-predictive will catch it for me, or it won't register. On the key 2, I can type really fast, and it's not an issue. If I misspell, autocorrect will take it for me, or if I really fuck up a word, then it'll just stay fucked up. But with this, it fucks it up constantly because I'm typing fast, but the software just does not recognize it. I'm hoping that this is a software issue, because if it's not a software issue, if this is a hardware issue, then that's a problem. But for now, I can only assume that it is a software issue, and that a software update will fix it, because that is the biggest issue with this phone, is just typing and a letter just doesn't appear, even though you pressed it. We're on the subject of the keyboard, might as well. The keyboard feels... The travel, I'd say, this is sort of, if you've had a BlackBerry Priv, it sort of feels like a bigger version than that in every way. It's bigger in overall. The keys don't travel deep like on the Key 2, but they have a good feel anyway. The spacebar is concerningly small, because I'd prefer these keys be a bit shorter, or the spacebar just be a bit bigger in general. I don't know how, because when I'm typing, sometimes I press V or B depending on what thumb is closer to the spacebar to start the next word. And sometimes I end up pressing space and B or space and V, or just don't press space entirely. That I guess that's just me having to get used to it, but it's still a concern that someone might have personally. So I think it's good that I let you guys know. In terms of issues typing or issues with the keyboard itself, I've gone into several websites that test out keyboards to see if each key registers, and each key does register an input successfully. It's just when you're typing fast that it doesn't really show up, I guess. The keys just fail to register, whether it's because it has 2-key rollover, which on a smartphone, I don't understand. If it does have 2-key rollover, that's beyond stupid, but I don't think that's the case at all. That's more for desktops. I don't think something like this would have it. But it's there. It has this issue. That's the biggest thing to look out for, is that you can't really type fast on this without making mistakes. A lot of them. And it's actually put me off using the phone, because with the keyboard, I type better on a keyboard than on glass, but if a keyboard is no better than glass, then why not just use a smartphone that's made out of glass? Why get a physical keyboard at all? If I could just get a better looking Moto Z4, iPhone, Samsung Galaxy device, the OnePlus 7, these phones that I could probably type just as fast on glass than I can with this, due to the fact that this slows me down. So that's the biggest issue. It really seems like a software issue, so I really hope that Unihertz patches this and maybe gives us the December security patch at the very least. Alright, so enough ranting about the keyboard. It is a big issue. Actually, no, we're not done with the keyboard. Another issue with the keyboard that I have personally is this. See how long that took? Let's do it again. That is a full second delay between when you start typing and when the backlight turns on. As soon as I hit that key, it should be on. It should not wait an entire second. I don't care if it's accidental. I want the option to have this keyboard backlit right when I press the key, not a second after. And it might seem like a small pet peeve, or, being petty Roosevelt, as Flossie Carter would say, but that is a big issue, because coming from the key 2, which is in the drawer and I don't want to get it out, pressing the key immediately lights up the backlit keyboard. So why can't it do it here? I don't understand. Just another oversight, I guess. I think I've covered most of the issues with the keyboard. As for how the headphone jack works and everything, sound out of the headphone jack, sounds like stuff out of the headphone jack. Mine works just fine. I plugged it into my car. Everything works. It has Bluetooth. What is it? 4.2, I believe, is the Bluetooth version that it's running. Specs. I should probably talk about that. I've talked for about 20 minutes and I haven't said anything about specs. It's running a MediaTek Helio processor. So if we go into CPU-Z, it is running a MediaTek Helio P60 processor clocked at 1.99 gigahertz. As you can see, it is the octa-core processor on the 12 nanometer process with a Mali G72 MP3 GPU. And here is more information, and that's the manufacturer, A Gold. Screen size is 4.2. Oh, so it's 4 inches, not 3. Oh, well, my bad. There you go. And the resolution is 430 by 438 with a with DPI 479, 6 gigs of RAM, 128 gigabytes of storage. We already saw that. Android 9. There we go. Security patch August with ART runtime. The battery is discharging. Blah, 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 blah. So, if you want to know where that ranks in terms of processors, maybe you don't know what it is. It's mid-range. It's not high-end, it's not low-end, it's mid-range. If you never owned a phone with a MediaTek processor, this is about a Snapdragon 660. Yeah, I'd say about Snapdragon 660. And you have 6 gigs of RAM. I'm assuming because of poor app optimization and poor app management in general on Android. That's fine. Now, there is an issue with certain apps displaying items on screen. Instagram is actually a good example. Let me just pull up something real quick on Instagram and hide everyone so that you guys don't see who I actually know. Let's pull up... Where is Mr. Mobile? There you are. So as you can see, a lot of the pictures, if you're on Instagram, or this applies to Snapchat too, due to the one-to-one aspect ratio, as you can see, it cuts off a lot, and especially in this, as you can see, day 3, 4, 2. Like I can't see that. As you can see, it also crops it down here. This is an issue on Instagram, on also Snapchat. It just doesn't crop very well. This isn't really the... oh god, it's loud. This isn't really an issue with the phone. It's a problem with just Instagram and the way Instagram scales natively. Just doesn't do a good job. Again, not the phone's fault. Phone isn't at fault for that. It's Instagram. And the app just hasn't gotten used to the one-to-one display aspect ratio yet. Alright, so next issue is... yes. The next issue with this phone is with texting. Now, as I said, I put my SIM card in the phone, Verizon SIM card, and I had to activate it with a OnePlus 6T in order to get everything working. However, I don't know if it's because of the app blocker or whatever, but I couldn't use the normal Google Messages app. It just would not work at all. I could not get it to work. I'm in a group text, or a text group, or whatever you want to call it, in a group with 2 other friends, and I would never get their notifications because it would fail to send. If you don't know, group messaging sends it as a multimedia message on Android, and it just wouldn't send through Google. I had to use the Verizon Messages app, and it'll work just fine through there. It'll download all the things, and so I just used Verizon Messages Plus. However, there was an issue there as well, as all the notifications were delayed. In fact, most of the notifications on this phone were delayed. I didn't get an email for 2 hours. Some notifications from some apps, some push notifications, they didn't show up until I opened the app itself. I don't know if that's a Chinese thing, where you're not supposed to get anything until you open the app or until you check it, but I need my notifications as soon as I receive them. And I don't work in a job where, notifications are very important, but I do check my email because I do some things that require my email. And getting something 2 hours after I received it, getting a notification after the fact or until I open it, that makes no sense. So I don't know if the app blocker was doing that, but the phone still does it, so it's not the app blocker. I don't know what's going on. This phone seems to have some sort of aggressive management of notifications as well, because it doesn't send anything while the screen is off, which makes sense. It goes into a deep sleep of some sort, but not getting notifications until you open the app that you're waiting to get a notification on kind of defeats the point, but the purpose of the notification LED as well. So just another thing that Unihertz needs to fix in their software. Keep showing, just swipe away. That's an Android thing. That's not a Unihertz thing. Banking. I wouldn't recommend you bank on this phone in general. Just it's a Chinese phone. Let's be honest here. Don't do that. The phone app is standard Android. Yes, I called my mom. I still call my mom. Just whatever. We're adults here. If we call... actually, there's no SIM in here. Let's do a call anyway. Well, I can't call. But basically, when you call, you get more options than you usually do. You get the option to record a call. You might have seen it when I did my unboxing and overview of the phone. You get more options such as to, record the call. I think I've covered all the issues that are present on the phone. I don't think... Oh, no. Dark mode doesn't work. I forgot to mention that system-wide dark mode, for some reason, that I enabled in the developer settings just isn't working. I don't know why. So, all in all, I think that the phone, hardware-wise, is solid. But software-wise, it's falling behind. That's where it's really bad. Actually, I didn't go through how you watch media consumption in general, so I'll just insert a clip now of how it is, because it's like midnight here, and I don't need, the neighbors breaking down my wall saying, why the fuck are you playing music so late at night? Alright, so this is being recorded a bit later, but this is basically watching videos on the Unihertz Titan. Let me see if I can... Hopefully Pat McAfee doesn't... Actually, no, you know what? Hopefully the BBC doesn't get me.
And now, the news. Now, you know those club card points that you get in supermarkets when you spend money? Tesco's has announced this week that if you spend those vouchers on a car, you get 4 times the value of the points.
Really?
They quadruple.
Well, that's quite good, because I buy my pies from Tesco's. You know, those little steak ones with the gravy, from the finest range with the really thick, crusty topping.
Well, it works that for every £100 you spend, you get the equivalent of...
So how many pies a week do you eat? Are they?
£1.20.
£1.20. So for each one of those £1.20s, you get...
So you could be on your way to a car, mate.
Let's just work this one out. You could have enough for a Ford Fiesta diesel in 2,403 years.
Wow! You're going to have to eat more pies. That's what you're going to have to do. A lot more.
I can eat more pies than that. Hang on, I can work out that... hold on a minute.
Well, it's an ambition for you.
No, hang on a minute, because I could have a new Ford Focus in a year if I eat 570 pies a day.
Wow, well, there you go. That'll be so in a year's time. James, your new car's here. I can't get up. I don't feel so well.
Pies are not a good way to buy cars, just in case you were wondering. Now, you ready for this? The American...
Alright, so that's watching, let's say, YouTube. So, all in all, I think that the speaker is pretty good. Watching things on the Unihertz Titan is going to be a bit difficult, but manageable. You can't really do landscape, but you weren't going to really do that anyway. And, yeah. Alright, so that's what it sounded like. The speaker on this is really loud. Very impressed by the loudspeaker, or not the loudspeaker, but the speaker quality. However, I do have to dock it points because it's a rear-firing speaker. I think that they could have just, carved out the Unihertz logo and had a cool front-facing speaker as the Unihertz logo. But you can't ask for much, really. You can't complain too much. I still think the speaker... the only issue is that you're going to block it with a finger depending on how you hold it. But overall, the speaker volume is loud. It's clear. There's no rattling. There's no tinniness. At least on this unit. No rattling, no tinniness, no issues with the speaker. Perfectly usable, really. And now we get to the part of the video where I talk about whether or not I recommend this phone. Well... it's a bit complicated, and here's why. The phone was made for a niche market. It was made for the physical keyboard market, which is already a niche. However, because of the software issues, it sort of pushes itself into an even smaller niche. People who need a physical keyboard that can't type fast. That is a big issue. And actually, because of this keyboard issue that I mentioned earlier, I'm actually seeing several units on eBay being listed from... Actually, we can check right now. I'll check in a sec. I'll have it pulled up. But we're having, units that are being sold because of this. It's a bit of a shame, really, because I think the phone is really, really good overall in terms of the build quality. It's just software that's behind. So, would I recommend it, and also the price? So, this phone from Kickstarter, I believe I bought it for, actually here, before I talk about price. Here are all the listings for the Unihertz Titan. There's 8 now. I don't know if you can see that. There's 8 listings now. There were less before. You can see a lot of listings. And then there's one from Germany as well. So 9 people are selling theirs. Let's open the tabs and see why. And this one is selling for $400. Holy shit. I might sell mine for that much. $400. Yikes. Fuck, I might sell mine for that much then. Holy shit. I'm getting 400 out of it. So this dude's just selling it because he doesn't like it, I guess. I guess this person thought this wasn't the phone for him. This is just a reseller, I'm assuming. Also, I assume a reseller. Yep, reseller. Reseller as well. This is actually the one I'm bidding on. It's open box, but as you can see here, I've typed on the keyboard on it a bit. The keyboard does not register every single key press. That is the big issue right there. It's just unacceptable. And then this one, I'm assuming, yeah, I scored one before mass production by investing in the company last year. Not exactly truth, but yeah, here we are. These are Kickstarter units. I mean, there are bound to be issues. Price on these, I don't know how much these are going to retail for. But if you want one, you can actually pre-order it from Indiegogo. If you go here to Indiegogo, you can pre-order one, I think. Apparently can't. Okay, so you can't pre-order it, but I got mine. If I were to check... Oh, view pledge. I got mine for $240 each. There's no information? Yeah, there's no information. So I got mine for $240 each. And according to Unihertz, these are going to retail for $359. If what I'm seeing here is true, because if I actually go to the pledges real quick, $100 off the price of $259. That's $359, so it'll be about $360 for the phone. So this phone is going to retail for about $360. So if you're on eBay and you're bidding, sorry that you're overpaying for the phone, I guess. It's actually worth about $360 to $380. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to sell this one. I guess if anyone's interested and you want to give me $360 for it, I'll sell it to you. But overall, I really like the phone. It's just a shame that the keyboard fails it. Now, as for whether or not I think it's worth it, if you backed it for what is it? If you got the early bird special, right? You ordered it for, let's see, because there were some early birds that got it for like $210 or like $200. If you backed it for that much, yeah, $219 early bird special, no longer available. Oh no, there were two. So there was one for $199 and one for $219. So if you got it for those prices, you got a steal. You just legit got a steal on this. You got a steal on it. I honestly do. Even if it's a bit defective, $199 for a phone with these specs and like just this in general, I missed out on that. I had to pay $220, $470, $235. So I paid $15 more than the second early bird for both my phones, which I still think I paid reasonable amount for it. I don't regret it. I don't regretting backing the Kickstarter. I really want to enjoy the phone, but the text notification issues and the notification issues in general, the push notification issues and the keyboard issues are really what's stopping me from using this phone as my daily driver. Battery life on it, I'm gonna be honest with you, Chief. The battery life is amazing. That might be because of aggressive RAM management, but I got 2.5 days. I charged this one fully on Thursday and did my discharge cycle Thursday to Friday, and then I charged it Monday after using it all of Saturday and all of Sunday aggressively. I charged it on Monday. Now it does have fast charge. It's not as fast as Qualcomm Quick Charge, but it is fast charge, and it also supports Qi wireless charging. So I pulled out the old Nokia power, or what is it, power pillar or whatever it's called. Oh no, the Nokia Fat Boy. There you go, Fat Boy wireless charger. Threw it on, picked it up, just charged it overnight, and it charged well. And then I used it for another day without charging it, and then once I removed the SIM, charged it, and put it in my drawer, and I haven't used it. So battery life, excellent. It lives up to it. As for whether or not I recommend it, it really depends on various factors. How much are you going to pay, and how much do you care about notifications, and how much do you care about updates, and how much do you care about, miscellaneous things like, I don't know, the keyboard software that you're going to use. If you want a phone that has a physical keyboard because you can't type on glass, let's say. If you just want a keyboard, a portrait keyboard phone that you can type on, you're not a fast typer, this is the phone for you. Like, just do not look any further. This is the phone for you because I would assume that you're of age. You're in your older age, maybe 50s, 60s, even 70s. This phone, perfect for you. Drop proof, water resistant. The way the screen is hidden makes it so that the body impacts first, so the chance of the screen being shattered is much less likely. As you can see, there's lumps here that are raised, so the screen is protected. There is a built-in screen protector that's, not the best applied, but it's alright. It's durable, has a big battery, so if you get to charge it, if you're an older person, 50s, 60s, 70s, stop what you're doing. This is the phone for you. If you're in construction and you're typing with one hand, this is really not a one-handed phone. Then, I could see this, being dropped often enough. You're going to scuff it and everything. But again, I could see this working. But for the average Joe, me, for example, who backed this and just wanted to type fast and wanted to rock, a spiritual successor to the BlackBerry Passport that I never got because I was on Verizon and it never came to Verizon, this is not it. At least not yet. If Unihertz can get their shit together and update the software, I can absolutely see this phone returning to my pocket as a daily driver if they can fix the keyboard issues and the notification issues. The Google Messages issue, I am going to have to deal with that myself. That's not really something Unihertz can deal because they're not, can't really do much on that end. I mean, they could, but I doubt they will. For older people, this is totally worth anywhere from $220 to $295, I think. $379, that's a bit of a tough sell. But for $350, I think this phone is still worth it. For $350, if you can snag one of these, I'd say it's worth it. I think I can say that I'd recommend it for $350. For us, people that wanted a BlackBerry Passport, not the older people, but us younger tinkerers, I guess older boomers would call us millennials, I suppose. I wouldn't recommend it because of the preset issues, and you can get much better phones for $350. I mean, sure, they're glass slabs, but whatever. But please do not buy the BlackBerry Key 2. It is not worth it, and TCL is just not going to support that much longer. I'm already going to sell mine soon. So, all in all, I could recommend this phone if you're going to buy it outright. Like, for anybody, I can recommend it for about up to $300. If you're of an older gentleman, I can forgive up to $350. But Unihertz, you really need to fix this software. It's bogging down the phone. It's killing it. It's making what is a very good phone into just an okay phone. Overall, I don't regret my backing of it, but I do hope Unihertz addresses the issues that it has quickly. If it's a hardware issue, I hope that it comes to light. I've already commented on the Kickstarter page. I've already said my piece there. So it's all up to Unihertz to actually respond and do something. They need to update the phone. They've already promised a Android 10. They said that this phone will be getting Android 10, but considering that I don't think Android 10 is out yet, actually. Oh no, Android 10 is already out. What the hell? What am I saying? Android 10 is already out. How long are we gonna fucking wait for that? It was released in September. It's 3 months now, but it's probably going to be like 6 to 8 months. And honestly, hoping for XDA to develop for it, I don't think they're going to do it because there's not that many people that probably backed it to begin with. But hopefully, but when, they already said they're going to start mass producing the phone. Hopefully, once it starts going into mass production for the mainstream, start selling it at MSRP, it will get more attention because I do really like the phone. I do genuinely like it. It's everything that I wanted, and I don't regret it. But the software issues, once more, as I keep reiterating, bog it down. So yeah, that's my review of the Unihertz Titan. I'll make probably a part 2 to it. Maybe you guys can tell me what you guys want to see, and then I can cover more of this stuff. I probably missed something. I can probably answer that in the comments as well. But for the most part, that's it. That is my review of the Unihertz Titan. It's a very good phone, just held back by shoddy software, honestly. Reminds me of the iPhone, really. iPhones are really good, but iOS is really restrictive. It is what it is, though. Anyway, if I miss something, just comment it in the description, or not description, sorry, in the comment section. And yeah, I will see you guys probably in a part 2. I can cover more stuff. This was just more of a review, how it is, and whatnot, and what for. Some things I did probably miss is how it feels in the hands. This is not a one-handed phone, so I'll just talk about that right now. It's not a one-handed phone. You can't really wield this with one hand for too long, otherwise it's going to start hurting your hand. You can't type with one hand either. You can't reach across the screen with one hand. This is really a phone you're going to need 2 hands for. You need both hands for you to really do anything with it. So I think that's it, really. Camera quality, I'm not a photographer, but the cameras are serviceable. It's alright, so I'll believe him. He's a wannabe photographer. He has a Galaxy S10 Plus. He wouldn't lie to me. So yeah, that's pretty much it.